I've never been in debt.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Keep it up.
Thank you.
You know what? Dave Ramsey would be proud of you. What's up, guys? Jason here. Welcome back to the channel. I recently put out a post asking nurses to get on a video call with me so I could discuss their background, their education, their lifestyle, and their net worth in a new video series we're going to call Nurses to Riches, The Road to Fire. The post gained a lot of interest, and today we have our very first guest on the channel. His name is Lawrence, and Lawrence had the guts to spill all of his financial details for anyone who's interested in becoming and thriving as a nurse. So, Lawrence, tell me exactly how you became a nurse, what kind of mindset did you have, and why you decided to become a nurse.
All right, loaded question just to start off. But my name is Lawrence. I live in Seattle, Washington, and I just turned 24. I've been working as a CVICU RN for just over a year and a half. I
Cool. About a year and a half. And
yeah,
what made you decide to get into that specialty specifically?
I've always been medical oriented growing up. Both my parents are doctors, and they wanted me to go to medical school, but I kind of wanted more direct patient contact. So I thought nursing was a great route. And then once I actually started college and nursing school, I learned about the different routes that nurses can go through, and that kind of just propelled me into nursing just to start off. So I have a great career ahead of me. Obviously, there's some talk about nurses across the nation right now, but that's where I am right now. Yeah.
And how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
24.
24. Wow, you're pretty young, dude.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
just turned 24. So,
that is awesome.
yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, and so did you immediately get into CVICU, or did you start off as a med surg nurse or any other specialty before that?
So I graduated May of 2020, and that was about to be peak COVID time. And I actually had trouble finding a job for 10 months. So I didn't have a job for 10 months post college graduation. I know now it's a little bit different. But all the hospitals were on hiring freeze, and I was kind of going through it at the start of COVID.
Yeah.
But yes, I did start in the CVICU. I eventually got a position up here in Seattle. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, so I've been West Coast most of my life. So yeah, I did start in the CVICU.
And what made you decide to get back or move back to Seattle? Why not stay in Arizona?
I just grew up in Arizona, and I wanted to leave Arizona. I actually was planning on going to New York City because I had a nurse externship in New York City, and that hospital was going to hire me after graduating. But then COVID hit, and everything kind of shut down in New York City. So I was struggling for a little bit.
Oh man, that's tough. And you said 10 months, right?
10 months, yeah.
And actually, I'm gonna make a video later on, but I found this survey that I think Stanford produced, where they gathered all this information from students that graduated in California, and they found that the average from graduation to employment time was about 3 to 6 months on average, which is
That sounds like
crazy.
California. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what's been consistent. Yeah.
Yeah. And, I'm kind of surprised though, because you were looking for a job during COVID and you would think that you'd have an easier time finding a job, right?
Yeah, so that's what kind of confused me at first, and that's what everyone asks. We had a nursing shortage during the height of COVID, but uh, what my understanding is, and what I've been telling everyone, is that the height of COVID, they didn't have the time or resources to train new grads. So that's why, especially in New York City, they were trying to they got retired nurses to come back and work because they already have experience, and they just didn't have the resources to train a new grad. So yeah.
That makes sense, actually. So, uh, w- so what area of Washington did you end up moving to ultimately?
I live pretty close to downtown Washington, downtown
And
Seattle. Sorry.
and do you remember how much you got paid when you first started
Oh
work?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I've gotten two pay raises so far. I just got a recent pay raise, a whopping 80-cent pay raise. Um, but I first started at $35.30, and now I'm at, after a year and a half, almost 2 years, I won't get another pay raise until January. But I'm at $37.49 an hour.
Actually, you know what? That's pretty similar to my first nursing job
Hmm.
in New York City.
Yeah.
Um, and do you think that's enough income to support your lifestyle currently where you live?
Absolutely not. No. I'll probably get into it later, but I break even about every single month.
I
So
see. Okay, so and how many hours a week are you working?
I work full time, point nine, 36 hours a week.
30. Is that 12-hour shifts?
Yes.
Okay, does your hospital have 8-hour shifts?
We do. I don't know about other units, but our CVICU does have a specific 8-hour shift that recovers open hearts.
Gotcha. And do you plan to stay in CVICU for a long period of time, or do you plan to go somewhere else?
Um, Good question.
Oh, hold on.
I didn't. I realized that I really like CVICU. I want to stay in ICU for as long as I can, but due to everything, and then I'm actually going on. I actually got accepted to do a medical mission in November, so I'll be quitting. No one knows yet, but I'll be quitting for that
I'm just
to
gonna
volunteer.
block that off the video so
No,
no
no,
one
it's
will
okay.
find
It'll be
it. Okay.
okay. Yeah. Um,
Okay.
so I'll be quitting to do that, and then after that, I plan on travel nursing in New York City.
Wow. Wow. And why New York City? Out of all of the states and cities you could move to, why New York City?
Um, because I do have a lot of friends that are nurses in New York City, and I do have other friends in New York City. Um, and I've always just wanted to live in New York City, and travel nursing is the best uh, and easiest way to move around
That's
and get paid decent enough
yeah.
to be able to afford that. Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Have you looked at any of the hospitals in New York City at all?
Um, I have, and I have a lot of friends in a lot of different hospitals, and my unit currently is a lot of travelers, and some of them have worked in New York City, and I've heard some horror stories, but generally, the hospitals are okay
Yeah.
enough, and
Yeah.
I think I can handle it.
Yeah. I'll tell you this. We've been living in California for about 5 years now, a little bit over that. And there's not one day that goes by that we don't think about New York City.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, we love it that much. And ultimately, we do want to move back either to New York City or close to it.
Hmm.
But I can never see myself working in New York City ever again.
Oh, okay.
But as a traveler, though, it's a good way to get into a hospital in New York City because you can always leave, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
It's a 13-week contract or whatever, however many weeks you decide to do. But it's a
Yeah.
good way to get your foot in the door and experience it and see if you like it or not.
Yeah. And the externship, one of the best cancer centers in the U.S. And they actually had break nurses, and they were very well staffed. They were overstaffed every day somehow, and that's what I kind of thought a hospital was. But
Oh,
then I've heard everything else, and I started working in the West Coast, despite. But yeah, that hospital. So it is hospital specific.
I'm sorry, which hospital did you say?
I worked at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center.
Oh, you know what? I actually did a clinical there, a
Yeah,
clinical rotation, and it was one of my favorite clinical rotations. You are
yeah,
dead on. Like I love that hospital,
yeah,
and I mean, I spoke with the nurses that worked there, and they had nothing but good things to say about the hospital. So I get why you had that impression
mm,
about New York City. I will say though, not all hospitals are like that in New York City.
yeah,
That is the exception.
yes,
But by all means, man, I say you do it because you're gonna get to explore New York City like you probably wouldn't have been able to otherwise.
mm,
So let's get back to it. You said you work 36 hours a week, correct?
yes,
Okay. Um, and you told me you were making about $37.50 per hour,
correct,
something like that.
and that's
So
recent. I
Recent.
wasn't
Okay.
like that. Yeah.
Okay. And are you married?
No.
Do you have any kids
No.
that you know of, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you plan to retire early?
Um, I've been asked this question before, and my answer before was I want to. My ultimate goal is to go to CRNA school,
Yeah,
and then maybe teach when I'm older.
yeah,
Uh, I don't want to just do nothing when I'm
yeah,
older, even though financial freedom is one goal that I have.
yeah.
But I do want to teach when I'm older.
Yeah, and I actually like that you point that out. When I talk about fire and the fire movement, there's two parts to it. There's financial independence, and then there's retiring early. Like you
Hmm.
could be financially independent and continue to work, and you could work part time. You could work doing whatever you love doing,
Hmm.
which is what's so cool about it. But now that you mentioned CRNA, like you want to become a CRNA, I
Hmm.
remember when I was at New York Presbyterian, the hospital that I worked in New York. I was teaching this, or I was precepting this student that went to Columbia University,
Hmm.
and I remember it's partly because of her that I ended up moving to California because she told me that both of her parents were working for Kaiser and they were both earning over $200,000 a year
Hmm.
each. And I
Hmm.
couldn't believe it. And she was like, "Listen, I'll send you some like this document that shows proof that this is how much they earn." And it's so cool because now I found out like a couple of months ago that this girl who is now, I think she's around your age, maybe 25, 26. She's a CRNA and she works
Hmm.
for Kaiser over
Oh
here
wow.
in Northern California. And I feel like she just left me in the dust because the time it takes to become a CRNA is
Hmm.
pretty lengthy. So she was my student, my preceptee about 6 years ago,
Oh wow.
and she was a student at the time, right? So she had to go into the ICU and get at least 1 to 2 years of experience.
Hmm.
Um, and then she had to get like a master's degree or DNP to become that CRNA.
Hmm.
So that takes like 5 years or so from the moment you start working to the moment you become a CRNA. So
Yeah.
she went quick.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think I always pat myself on the back because I'm like, oh, I precepted her. She is where she is.
No, you should pat yourself on the back.
Right?
Yeah.
But like I'm really proud of people who actually become CRNAs because it's a challenging task. But
Hmm.
at the end of the day, when you complete that journey, I've never heard one CRNA say that they dislike what they do. Like they
Yeah.
all love what they do, which
Yeah.
is pretty
Me
cool. And
too.
I give
Yeah.
it up to you for wanting to pursue that.
Yeah.
And thinking back now, like had I known um, that there was so much positivity from nurses that are CNAs and how much they enjoy it, I probably would have become a CRNA right out of nursing school. I would have just went to like ICU and gone that route. But
Hmm.
I feel like at this point, because Monica and I were already in California and we're earning a pretty healthy living, my goal now is to just focus on the nurses to riches because I want to inform others what it's
Yeah.
like. And, I just love talking to people about financial, like nursing and finance. And I feel like I can mix the two now with this nursing channel.
Hmm.
And hopefully it goes well. But I'm
Yeah.
glad.
No, it's great. It's a lot of good information that you give, and I support it.
Cool. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
And now I know we're going to get into the numbers. Okay. Do you know what your net worth is?
Like my total, I do not.
So if you take your the total amount of liabilities, all of your debt, and you subtract it from all of your assets. So like let's say student loans. Do you have any student loans?
No.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, I got
Did
a
you get
full
help from
ride
your
for
parents?
college.
Did you
Yeah.
pay it off? Did you get help from your parents or did you get loans and pay them off?
I got a full ride scholarship for college.
Wow. So you must have been a straight A student to get that.
I wasn't straight A's. No.
Okay. Okay. You must have had some good credentials in order to get something like that.
Mhm.
Okay. And do you know, do you own a house? Do you rent? What is your current living situation like?
I pay rent for my one bedroom apartment that here in Seattle, and I pay 2,500 a month.
Okay. For a one bedroom, is it one bedroom, one bathroom?
Yes,
Okay. Damn, that's pretty expensive.
yes.
I'll say this, when we were living in New York, I remember we had a two bedroom, two bathroom, and it was about 800 square feet, something like that. It was pretty small, but we were paying 2,500 a month. I think it went up to like 2,750, but something like that. It was
Hmm.
very, but when we left New York City, we were making around $47 an hour or so.
Hmm.
So it's pretty difficult and challenging for you to be making 3750, and paying 2,500 a month.
Yeah, so that's why I break even
Yeah.
basically every month.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what are your utilities like? Are you paying a lot in gas, electricity, all of this?
Um, Utilities are included. I pay around 2,500 a month. I do have a car. I have car payments, but it's electric, and I don't pay anything for that. So that's free. I get to charge it for free. Um, so yeah, all of that, and then the rest of my credit card bills is about uh, 4 to 4.5K a
Yeah.
month. Yeah.
And that does that include the rent?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And about give or take, how much are you bringing in on a monthly basis?
About my biweekly paychecks are about 2,000 to 2,200. Yeah.
Mm. That's pretty similar. Also, actually, come to think of it, to what I was making in New York, I was bringing home about 2,200 or 2,400. I don't know. Maybe New York just taxes way too much.
Yeah,
It's one of the highest tax states, so
yeah, Washington doesn't have income tax,
income
so
tax.
that's yeah,
Yeah.
one thing. Yeah. And then I'd also I take home that much because I put 10% in my 401k for
Oh,
each paycheck. So,
yeah. Wow, that's pretty cool. Do you know how much you have invested so far?
oh, I haven't checked in a little bit, but I don't think it's that much. I do have I have maxed out my Roth IRA for last year and this
Awesome.
year.
Wow.
Um, Maybe 1,000 or 2,000. I'm not sure.
Well, you know what? And you told me you have your gross income, right? Like you said you have some of your pay slips. Do you have them available? Maybe you can take a look at it and tell me what your gross pay is. Or
Yeah, let me see. Gross. This was from July 3rd to July 16th. So I worked July 4th, which is time and a half for us. So I was day shift for this period. I rotate every 6 weeks between days and nights. So I was day shift during this period. I got a little bit of double time, my time and a half for July 4th, and then I got my preceptor pay, and that's about it. And I made $3,181.57 as my
so
gross.
okay, so for that pay period, you must have invested about $318 in your 401k because it's 10%,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you rotate shifts. Is
Yeah,
did that
it's
come
a
with the position when you first applied for it?
it is a position that we have that it's called a rotator shift, where we just flip between days and nights every 6 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
And you did also mention that you got double time, right? You got double time pay. I didn't
Yes.
know Washington actually had double time. So can you explain how that works?
Yeah. So double time. We don't have the similar law to California where we get double time after 8 hours, but
Yeah.
we get double time after 12 hours. So if we pick up and work a 16-hour shift, we get double time for those 12 to 16 hours. So 4 hours of double time. If
Okay.
we miss our breaks and we clock in that we missed a break, we get double time for that 1 hour.
Oh,
We are union,
yeah.
but there's some controversy between our union. So we do have it better than I would assume most of the US, but it's still not the best. There's still things that we can work on.
Got it.
So that's the double time that I got
Yeah.
for this paycheck.
Yeah. And do you have any specific financial goals in your life? I guess other than being a CRNA and maybe being financially independent, any specific goals financially?
Right now, I'm just writing it out until I can leave and go do my medical mission. After that, I can't really talk. I feel like I can't really talk about my financial goals right now because I'm literally not making any money.
Okay.
I'm not taking home any money, and my bank account has been stagnant for the last couple months.
Yeah.
So I feel like once I start travel nursing, then I can start talking about that. Obviously, CRNA school is a big time constraint and a lot of money. So that's up next. I feel like I'm not going to be able to purchase a house or anything here soon. So CRNA school is my next big loan.
Especially in Seattle, right? Like it's gonna be very challenging finding a
Mhm.
house you can afford in Seattle.
Oh yeah, Seattle's been pretty messed up with housing
Yeah.
prices too. Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you know what is the largest amount of debt that you've been in?
I've never been in debt.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Keep it up.
Thank you.
You know what? Dave Ramsey would be proud of you.
Yeah, I've never been in debt. Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Okay, and you know what? You mentioned that you have an electric car. I forgot to ask you what kind of car do you have?
My dad gave me his Tesla Model S for me to use. So we got it in 2017 when there was a um, deal for free unlimited supercharging for life. So we get
Yeah.
supercharging for life, and then the electricity that I use to charge at my apartment doesn't cost any money either.
And is there a parking garage in your apartment complex that you can charge it in?
Yes, there's a parking garage, and I get my dedicated own space, and that's included in my 2,500 uh,
Wow.
rent. Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. So you don't have a car payment, right? You just have the car insurance, I'm guessing?
Yes, the car insurance. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask because I know you said you're doing CVICU and you ultimately want to become a CRNA, but can you tell me if you could have started over again, would you have done something differently?
No, I love the CVICU, and I started loving it more and more the more I went in. Obviously, we have those. I started as a new grad, and everyone thinks it's extremely difficult to start, especially in the CVICU as a new grad, and I totally agree. I'm not sure how I did it. I just did it, but um, the CVICU is really, really intense, and that's my purpose. And I do enjoy going to work now. Obviously, there's talk, and my entire unit is leaving right now too. So, um, and people complain, my coworkers complain that us as CVICU RNs at our hospital make amount as every single other RN, but we're specially trained and all of that. There's just controversy with that in our union, and that's just been the talks this
And
entire past couple years.
that's actually one of the issues that I do have with unions. I made a video talking about, union versus non-union and what's the positives and negatives of both.
Mhm.
And it's very difficult to have change occur when there is a union because you have so much pushback from those within the union,
Mhm.
especially like you're saying, the nurses that are making, that the same as you in a med surge floor, they're going to be upset if they see that your salary is much higher and you're part of the same union.
Mhm.
It's unfortunate. I really hate that. And there's pros and cons of unions, but that's one of the cons that I really, really dislike.
Yeah, and then one main con of our union is that we are a healthcare union, not a nursing union.
Oh,
So I mean, we have maybe 1 to 3 staff per shift, and the rest of our entire staff are travelers,
wow.
and they're doing the same amount of work or less work than us, and they make 6 times more than us.
Wow.
Um, so it's kind of every single day we go into work, and it's not fair, but we've tried to raise it to our union, and they just say that uh, they can't pay us more because they're a healthcare union, and they would have to pay everybody in the entire hospital system more, like um, every single role in the
Yeah,
hospital.
like the pharmacists and lab techs and
Yeah, and yeah,
sanitation, like housekeeping,
yes,
okay, I
yeah,
got you. I
yeah,
got you. Yeah. Damn, that's unfortunate. That's
yeah.
unfortunate. Yeah. So if you have one last question, What advice would you give to anybody who's wanting to become a nurse, or someone who may be a nurse and is probably thinking of moving to Washington State, or just wants to get into CVICU? Do you have any advice for someone who might be wanting to get into it?
Um, I do have a lot of friends in nursing school, and I do have a lot of friends that are new grads. Uh, just if you're in school, obviously keep at it. Nursing is a great profession that has a lot of doors that you can open. If you want to get into CVICU, I would try to become a CNA that can get your foot in the door, and then get your senior practicum in the CVICU. Just try to open doors and try to network like that in the CVICU. Or if you want to move to Washington, travel in
Yeah,
Washington.
pretty much.
It's amazing in the summer. Everyone is here in the summer. Rates are low, but come travel in the summer. Washington's amazing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Speaking of which, we're so Monica and I, we travel a lot. And just recently we told ourselves, you know what, we need to apply for global entry, because whenever we come from an international country back to the US, the lines are ridiculously long, especially if you have a connecting flight in the
yeah,
US. We nearly missed our last flight when we were coming home from the Cayman Islands, and it took like 2 hours just to get through the customs line.
yeah.
Uh, so we applied for global entry, and they have like no appointments available almost anywhere in the US except for Washington State, right by
Oh,
the Canadian border.
oh,
So we literally booked like a mini vacation for like 4 days to Seattle. We're gonna stay in
for global
Seattle.
entry.
Yeah, right. And then
That's
we're
so
just gonna
funny.
drive up there for like half the day just to get our appointments over with. But I mean, that's one of the ways you can do it. They actually right now that global entry, they prefer that if you're coming back from an international country, you just have your appointment at the airport, because you can do that. But we didn't want to wait.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we ended up we're like, you know what? We made an excuse to travel to Washington, and this is what we're gonna do instead.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good plan.
Right?
Yeah, global entry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I plan on upgrading my credit card and then getting global entry, but that's for a little bit later.
Yeah,
Yeah,
don't do that just yet, man.
yeah, yeah,
Wait till you're a traveler.
yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah,
You're gonna have that traveler money. You can do whatever you want.
yeah. I'm excited. I
Yeah,
can't
right.
wait.
But have you ever considered going to California at all?
Yeah, I was going to travel to New York first, and then I was generally planning, no hard plans, obviously, coming to the Bay, because I have a bunch of friends in the Bay as well. And sometimes when the shift is slow, I just read the Bay Area Union RN contracts, and I just read them and I
Yeah.
cry how much more they are. But
Yeah.
yeah, I currently plan on coming to the Bay after I travel to New York. I'm not sure if I'm going to be staff or travel yet, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, if you ever do end up in the Sacramento area, maybe I'll meet you over here some one of these days.
yeah,
We'll
that'd be
see.
great. Yeah,
All right, man. So I want to thank you again for participating in this. Like, I want to make this a thing, like a weekly thing. And you again are the first guest, and I'm
yeah.
so glad you were on it. You're pretty cool,
Thank
and
you,
and I wish you the best of luck as a
thank you.
CRNA and with all of your endeavors.
Yeah,
And you know what? Keep me posted when you're traveling. Let me know how it goes.
yeah,
All right. And
yeah.
all right, man. So thank you so much. I'm gonna end the call here.
Thank
Yeah,
you for
and
having me.
we'll keep in touch.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
All right, guys. So if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more videos like this, make sure you hit that like button, comment on the video, and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys on the next one.